Okay, guys, hi, I'm back. Yes, I'm gonna zhuzh my hair. Now that someone's told me that I do this, I keep doing it. We're back with part two, chatting with Nissa and Alda from Lai. So I'm just bringing them back in.
Is it?
Yay! Still there. Um, yeah, that's it. I'm like blown away by that story. It's just like, whoa. Um, Yeah, so you were saying it's like kind of about that and then immigration and that
And what
kind of stuff.
else? Decolonization. It's like because obviously it's been like the topic that is like been haunting our mind for the past years. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, like all just like basically or personally, it's just for me, it's a lot of like contemplation of like how far colonization actually has impacted all of us, right? Like
Hmm.
how deep it actually impact like the way we live, like even the little things that's ingrained in our brain, the way we think. Yeah. So yeah, basically it's just literally revolving around misogyny, feminism, sex work, queer rights, immigration.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes. Well, yeah, it's that you've got all the bases covered. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's like,
I mean, there's still heaps to explore anyway.
oh yeah,
It's just
yeah. I
yeah,
mean, you
the
can
basic.
talk about that. You can talk about those topics for like hours on their own.
Exactly. We can make a lot of funk songs based on that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so how do you guys work when you're actually putting stuff together? Do you do like come together with music bits first, or do you
Yeah,
yeah,
generally. Well, I mean, lockdown has been good for riff writing. So Timmy's got like six or
Six
seven
new
new
one.
songs under their belt. So
mm,
they'll write songs, and usually I'm the first to get together with them because
yeah.
I guess that makes sense to put put drums with guitar
Yeah.
first, and then yeah, Timmy will take Tessa aside, and
And then
yeah,
like
and then
around
usually
that point, I already hang out.
yeah, around that point
Take
I'll just
notes.
practice
Yeah,
with
exactly. Like
us fucking it up 50 times.
yeah, exactly. Like yeah, I like trying noises and see what works.
Yeah,
Hmm.
always guitar and drums
Yeah,
first, generally,
definitely.
so that there's just something to show
I'm not
these.
that musical, so I don't understand. Like, usually like Timmy show us the guitar, and I'll be like, "That sounds cool," and then I'm like, "I have no idea what to do with that." So I'm just gonna wait until okay, this sounds like more sensible to me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of a vocalist's, that's a common thing. You're just like, I'm here to sing, you guys, you know
Yes,
what you're doing.
the
I'm
musician.
not gonna tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Um, I was gonna say as well, like I know, how long, like Nissa, how long have you been playing drums? And I noticed you were posting about how you're trying to learn some new types of playing drums.
An embarrassingly long time. I should be a lot better than I am because I don't practice. I probably picked it up around 17 or 18, but there were stints of a couple of years in between bands where I just didn't play because
Hmm.
I either didn't have access to equipment as a lot
Hmm.
of young homeless or poorer people do, or I just had like I had tendonitis for ages, so I couldn't work and I couldn't play drums. So that was like a good
Yeah.
2 years. Lie was the first band back, um, trying to deal with that, and the first practice hurt. It just straight up hurt.
Mm. Do you still have issues with it, or do you have to like?
Always, always. But I mean,
Because
that's
there's
I don't think I know a musician 30 above who doesn't have some
yeah
form
some issue.
of
Yeah,
yeah, most
yeah,
drummers.
and with I know like a lot of there's a certain I don't even know if I learned it. I learned drums very briefly. I got forced into it when I was in high school, and there's like specific ways to flick your wrist and do things, and if you do it a certain way you can cause worse things, like you like tendonitis, and you can cause issues in your wrist like really badly. um yeah, and like all that kind of stuff, the right way to hold it, and all that kind of shit. So it's kind of like, oh, I just like banging, doing this. That's my style of drumming. I'm just like, I'm Metallica. No, no actual beat, just like.
Yeah, just drum solos. That's how we roll. I mean,
So
That's
if someone can write lyrics to just drum solos, then I've got a band. It's just, yeah, no lull. It's just a constant drum solo, but like crushing crazy.
I want to see your
Um,
mm.
what's that?
I want to see your band with you on drums.
Well, I haven't played in a long time. It's been a few years since I had to play, but I didn't learn it. I didn't learn it the proper way, like reading music and all that. Like, so
I
I
was gonna say,
played.
there's a proper way. Don't you just like ask
No,
someone to show me a beat and then copy it?
yeah, well, that's the thing. But like, when I was growing up, like we had music was a big part of my school. So it was like, they'd try to teach you to read the music. I'd be like, I don't fucking know what that means. Just tell me how to hit the damn thing, like to make things sound. And like, so played guitar, but I found it so boring because it's like I was talking to like an amazing guitarist on here the other day, Mike from Russian Circles, and he was saying like, he never did the
Mm.
proper stuff at school either because it's so boring. Like they
Uh,
make you do like
yeah,
chords and exercises and you know bad moon rising and like
that's why I play
the
guitar.
saints go marching in.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. On the weekends, I used to get tab, and I used to like I would have been 13, and I used to stay at my friend's house, and the two of us would have a guitar each, and we'd read the tab and try and learn all the songs off Live Through This by Hole. Like, just that's all we did. Just try to play that album, and then like yeah, that's all we ever did. But I always had issues with like these two fingers trying to stretch them to the
Oh,
when you do crazy chords or whatever. But yeah,
yeah.
drums I thought
You should maybe get in contact with Tessa and Jimmy about the claw.
the
Mm.
claw. Yeah, because this is the yeah. I go like can't like like so one and I think once you stop playing an instrument for a long time, it just disappears. It's like when you learn a language. Like
Yeah.
in high school, the language we had to learn, it was compulsory, was Indonesian.
Mm.
Ah.
You can speak
Yeah,
Indonesian?
and no, that's my point. Is I could when we were doing it, but yeah, like now I couldn't tell you a damn thing. Like, because once you stop using it, you have like you just completely forget it.
Hard.
Like, yeah, like I used to be really good at it, and like and then I was like, I have no clue. I even dorkily, not by choice, had to get up and wear the whole Indonesian like outfit and shit
Oh, no.
and do yeah and sing and dance
Okay.
like in Indonesian. Couldn't tell you now what I said or what I
Yeah.
did.
Or what dance was that and stuff?
Yeah, like it was just yeah, we had to do it in front of like a huge hall of people. It was like craziness. And I was like crazy feminist raging man hating introvert at that stage.
Sounds
So if you
familiar.
just yeah, I was like an introvert, like total man hater. Like I was like an extreme feminist when I was yeah. When I was 13, I was like I would describe myself as like a radical feminist mostly.
Mm.
And so I was just like fuck you. I hated all dudes like and was just like don't even look at me. And so yeah, I was really and I didn't like the limelight and shit like that. So that was like my worst nightmare. And then when I had to play drums, which is really funny, I had to play Eye of the Tiger. and it was fucking horrible. And you know that song from Four Weddings and a Funeral? Love is all around. So bad. It's like horrendous. I was like, I had the Tiger I loved because I just like stopped and did like a mini solo, and then the teacher looked at me like, you little bitch. And like and no one in the crowd, like, you know, they were all like, yeah, like no one noticed that it was like, you know, I added in like just gonna hit some shit. But yeah, but yeah, I just got pushed into that because no one wanted to play drums. So it was like, we have to do all these class performances, so you're gonna have to do it. Like, because I think someone else has already taken guitar or whatever, so it was like, you get drums then. And I was like, okay.
Oh, you got like the shit instrument no one wanted.
Or the
No one
difficult
wanted it. Well, because
people are like,
everyone thought, you know, it was like perceived as the harder one, because
Oh,
if
right.
like, so no one wanted to do it because it was like, oh, if you fuck up the drums, everybody hears you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you drop the beat or you miss something and you look away for half a second and then you stop playing, like everyone knows, you know what I mean? So I think, yeah, it was like no one wanted to do it because it was like, oh no, that's like too important. Like, yeah. And then I was like, I was always that person who like got thrown in front of the bus, like, oh, you know, you're tough and like you like do some, go on. And I'll be like, no. But but yeah, I wish I stayed and did that, like stayed and learned like more stuff. But yeah, I can't read music or anything. It's just like
Neither.
you said, copying shit, making shit up.
Can't read it, don't count, can't count.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
just
The amount of times
yeah,
I
it's
doesn't necessarily correlate to the amount of times Timmy plays something.
yeah. And it is funny. So it's like, I guess then practice is like pretty important for you guys then to sort of like get everything down like really
Just
well
memorize
oiled before
patterns.
you play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Do
don't
you
know.
use like, do you have,
You're also
sorry,
talking to
go.
the two least musical people in the band.
yeah.
Like Tessa and Timmy are phenomenal musicians that can read music and can play
Yeah, Tessa
multiple
actually knows
instruments.
the bars
Yeah,
and shit.
yeah.
Tessa plays both
Well,
guitar
some,
and bass.
Yeah.
oh
Timmy
wow.
plays both guitar and,
And
drums.
drums.
Like, what do? One thing.
We're loud. We talk a lot.
We're just loud and opinionated assholes.
Well, I guess you're the kind of you're the like the fuel, and they're, you know, you're just like, they're the fuel and you're the fire, maybe, like, you know, you need those like,
combination. It's balanced.
yeah,
If one is
yeah,
like there's no bin.
yeah. Well, you need like the energy and that sort of stuff, like just as much as you need the technical stuff. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, you know, yeah, like a really good like thing. But yeah, like there's a lot of people who can't. I've been talking to lots of people on this thing. I've learned that most people don't know how to read music or do any of it. They've all just learned. They've all just learnt from fucking around. So I think, like, you know, it's one of those things where like everyone assumes everyone is like,
Knows
you know,
what they're doing.
yeah, and they're not. They're like, no, I just go do 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 do, and then like, you know, and then I go, what? Yeah, that sounds cool, and then I just do it again a few times, and then I show them, like, you know.
Yeah.
So I guess
Actually.
yeah, but you know, I think especially in punk and stuff, like that's the whole point. It's DIY. You're supposed to be like, it's supposed to be anybody can get up and do it.
Yeah.
You know,
And the message.
exactly. Yeah. So it's
And
like, you know, I mean, it helps if you have people who are, you know, good musicians and stuff as well. But like the base part about punk is that anyone can do it and get up and just be like, you know, there's not meant to be any rules about like what who, you know, what and who and how good you are and like, you know, that kind of thing. But it is, yeah, it's super funny. Like, you know, you have like the technical tech nerd heads, and then you have people who are just like, nah, I just yeah. And that's how I get it. That's how I do it.
Yeah.
I just get through it like that. But yeah, I was gonna say like as Tim, does he ever help you out like then with drums and like
Yeah, Timmy, yeah, I mean, Timmy's like one of the best drummers I know, so they definitely give me tips on,
yeah.
it might be the smallest little accent. But yes, just yes. Yes, lots of tips.
Yes,
Yes, that's
yes
that.
is
Yes,
the answer.
yes, yes is the answer. Timmy's
Yes.
amazing. But yeah, it's been really great having Timmy in the band to help
To
me
give
out
input about the
to
music
give input
parts.
And also like having someone
Be
who's kind of a
times because I tend to just like just jam everything in and then punish myself because it ends up being like so punishing on the vocal. So sometimes like yeah, Tessa, Nissa, Timmy help me, but like oh maybe not too hectic on that part or like like spread it out on the area. Also because I'm really shit at counting stuff like yeah yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm loving this because it's just everything that is kind of what punk is meant to be. It's like just fucking try and play as fast as you can, scream and jump around and fuck shit up. It's like
I mean,
um
basically, yeah, Timmy and Tessa are the only two that really know what's going on.
yeah. So do you like have like little because I know some people have like little body language, little like things that you do on stage to like
Forever.
yeah. Yeah. All
I
the
don't
little like
really. I'm
all the
just
do. What the fuck are you
Do I get
doing?
like, yes, on stage? Sometimes I forget what I'm doing. Yes. All
I
the
was saying like I couldn't look at people because I would forget. I have to pick something.
that.
I'd have to like because if someone stares at you and you make eye contact, I'd be like, "Fuck! I just lost what I'm doing now. Stop staring at
Yeah,
sometimes.
me, weird."
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm like I would totally be bad at doing like live playing. I'd have to like pick a spot like above the crowd and just like focus on it and be like, so it looks like I'm looking at the crowd, but I'm not at all. And just be like, please don't anybody like try and make any contact. Because it's such a like off-putting type thing. But like I guess
How's it
now
For me.
Well, I don't know. You're staring at everyone.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'm staring. Sometimes I usually just like look at people I know.
yeah.
Or like
Or
because
do
they're like,
you do like pick some people have said that they pick one person out and just punish them. Like
sometimes
just
it
keep
depends.
focusing on that one person because it
Yeah,
just makes it
sometimes or
easy.
like focusing on a
Yeah.
spot. Or like sometimes I try if I'm trying to push myself, mentally or something, just actually engaging with people.
Mm.
It's but yeah, don't always be in the mood for that. Sometimes I just feel like being introvert on stage and
Just snap
Yeah.
an introvert on stage.
yeah,
That
basically.
makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's not doesn't mean that I'm not trying to do anything, but I'm trying to do shit, but like I kind of don't give a fuck about it.
You're trying to concentrate on what you're doing, not
Yeah, kind
what
of
other
like
people are
whatever,
doing. Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But
'Cause
I think it feels best when I'm trying to engage with people. Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because you get better. You get a bit like better energy and that
Yeah.
kind of
Feels
that kind
pushing
of thing.
like an exercise
However,
interacting socially, but like like
yeah,
you're just with energy and like that's all.
yeah, and getting
When
to
it works,
like
it
have
works.
since you first got together, which was it 2018 or a bit earlier, 2017?
I think Timmy and I got together first beginning of 2017. Just the two of us. I can't remember how long it was before Tessa joined us, but it actually took quite a while to get Alda in the band. Initially, we had another friend practicing with us who just had a lot of life stuff going on and just couldn't commit the time. So
Time, yeah.
Yeah, just really
time
busy.
management. That was it. They're incredibly busy with multiple other things. So, yeah, we we had to make the call to find someone else because we were ready to start playing, and we just needed someone who just had the time and could do it.
Yeah.
And Timmy knew of Alda. I hadn't met Alda at that point in time, so that was nice that worked out. You just showed
I actually
up.
met you.
Really?
She actually linked me up on Peace Christ mosh pit.
Oh,
That's how I know her. She was drunk though. She was drunk though. But I was like, who the fuck is this girl? She's cool.
Okay, apparently I should.
Yeah, I was like thinking, because like I told you before, my band when I was teenager played with Piss Christ, so I have like personal memory, I guess. Like that's the only one of the 3 shows that we ever did. So I was like, wow, that reminds me of my teenagehood. I want to like stage dive. Should I do it? Stage dive. Then she's suddenly like appearing, and they're like, "This is the last song. You should do it." Like, what the fuck? What the fuck are you going to read my mind? And then she just lift me up, and then I jump to the stage, and then I sang.
All right, so we launched you into the air, and we met. Sweet.
And I was like, "Who is that
That's
girl?
awesome.
She's
Yeah,
What the
nice.
fuck she read my mind? I need to understand that. She forgets. She's the answer.
Yeah.
People become
That was
psychic when
messy.
they're drunk.
Drunk at a Piss Christ show? No, come on now.
I mean,
I mean, I was actually I was explaining to someone the other day that James used to have a belt when they played that has a beer holder in it that attaches to his bullet belt.
Yeah.
So he would have a beer sitting in his belt. I used to, it was fucking brilliant. And he'd like play and stuff, and then he'd just put the beer up in between.
so always the
good,
practical
so
mind.
Yeah, I was like, where the fuck did you have that? I think you actually had it made, because I was like, where do you even find that? Like a leather beer holder attachment for your bullet belt. I was like, weird. Yeah, I think you actually had it made for him, but yeah, it was funny. I have a lot of good memories from back as well, from the early days of Piss Christ and stuff. And like I was trying to remember all the names of like all the bands they always played together. There was a band with a female singer and a male singer, and I can never remember the name, but they were they were really cool. And like that girl was fierce as fuck, and she was one of the like first kind of crust punk chicks that was in a band singing.
Yeah. Alvin?
I can't remember what their name was. Something well known anyway. But they'd always play with Piss Christ usually.
Yeah.
Especially or any
together.
Yeah. And then I think it became just her singing. But like sometimes they'd take turns. Like I can't remember who it is. But I don't think they're around anymore anyway. I think they broke up. But yeah, they were like always playing at Pink Palace or playing with Piss Christ at the time.
Yeah. Just Pink Palace.
Is this a brothel thing?
What's that?
I know a podcast called Pink Palace. I know a brothel called Pink Palace.
Hey, maybe that's what it is now. I haven't actually been there to see what's happened to Pink Palace. I don't know if it's still I don't know if it's still the same like warehouse space it was before, because it was like, when everyone lived in warehouse, like, it was really cheap to rent a warehouse, and then people would just build their own walls and rooms inside. So, it was like a huge, and and Pink Palace was quite large, so then they built a stage and and they'd go and buy slabs of beer, and then like
Sydney when that was running. That sounds quite similar.
What was it called? Sorry, what was it called?
Did you ever go to Maggotville in Sydney? That was sort of.
Don't think so. Yeah, I was never a huge. Sorry, people who live in Sydney, but I don't really like Sydney. Like, yeah, I don't really like Sydney. Sorry.
Same.
I used to go to
Beautiful.
Sydney a few times. Like I used to go to Sydney a little bit when I was like into like a lot of hardcore punk, and then yeah, and then and then I just stopped going there. But yeah, I've never really liked it or felt like an affinity to Sydney. I feel like it's so disconnected and like you know how the pubs have pokies and like everything's just I didn't feel like there was a music vibe or like a community there. Like it felt very disjointed, like, you know, whereas I felt like Melbourne just like we had so much like good shit going on. Like, so yeah, I've just never been a fan of Sydney, unfortunately for them. But like, yeah, no, I've always liked Melbourne. But yeah, I was gonna say like, have you ever like when you have played live since, you know, the beginning, have you like now got your shit together, you think, or getting towards getting your shit together? Like compared to like, you know, say the first two shows to like now, you know.
Oh,
We know
definitely
us-
not as disastrous as
We
the
know our
first show.
songs better. I guess that helps.
Well, I think the first shows are always disastrous, aren't they? Almost always.
It's
Yeah.
yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, I was
I
in
don't.
with work.
We could have it together more than we do. A
Mm-hmm.
lot, probably a little more seamlessly, but I don't know. We also have fun. And I think
Yeah.
And you know
I think that's the
what
main
matters,
focus
right?
is, you know, while we obviously we want to tighten up and we want to get better, but you know, with the priority is fun.
Yeah.
Engaging, it's fun, it's a good night, you know.
Well, you don't want you don't want to turn it into like, I mean, you're playing punk music. You don't want to turn it into like a fucking a controlled, like full on technical, like
Yeah.
you know, like thing, because then it just it's not punk anymore.
Yeah.
Then you're like, you know, you're like you're like one of those like math, you know, what they call like math bands, you know, where
Is that
every
A math band.
a
Or is
math
that
band. So it's like, so it's basically like, you know, bands where like any kind of band, like usually metal or doom or like whatever, or psychedelic type stuff. And they like they call it like, it's like math rock. It's where they're like, everybody in the band knows how to like read music, and everybody like everyone is like intricate solos, and like everyone's like really concentrating, and like it's all about that and not actually engaging with the audience. You know, like people turn around and have their back to the audience, and while they're like doing all their shit, you know. So like it's like that real kind of like, it's the kind of music that you can listen to, but doesn't work live because
yeah.
like because they
I
just
guess
don't have any vibe. They're just like, they're all like so like, oh, doing all these crazy ass chords and fucked up crazy shit. So they don't have time to smile or to like do anything, you know. So they're just like, they're really not enjoyable to watch live mostly. But yeah, we usually call them like math
Band.
yeah, math man, because they just take it like, you know, they're on that next like fucking level where they're like, you know, I don't know what they're trying to do. They're like trying to go into space with these insane like, you know, next level chord riffage and solos and melodic things, and which I also like, but like I said, a lot of them are terrible to watch live because they don't want to, like, they can't look because they
really
have to concentrate so hard.
to perfection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're all just looking down or turned away because they're like, they've got to get it, you know, everything has to be spot on. Like they practice bloody every day, you know what I mean? Like bands that practice like constantly all week long, like, you know, things like that. But yeah, like with, you know, with punk, that defeats the fucking purpose. If you turn it into like this really like controlled regime, like it's just
I
like,
guess it also
I mean, I
depends.
respect that. Like, that's also like, I guess, their form of art. But also, I just can't do that. I'm just not that musical.
yeah.
But maybe, you know, if you so wanted to play drum every day.
said I'd love to be able to play music more, but I'm well, maybe I can now if I'm in lockdown for the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, well, you got 6
Bit
weeks.
more,
Do you
but
have a kit like at home, or do you have to go to like
yeah, I
a
do. I have
Oh, that's
neighbors,
good.
babies, and I'm in apartments, so that doesn't help.
Mm.
I
Well,
don't know.
you've got like a bit of time, isn't it? Isn't it like 10 o'clock at night is the cutoff, and you're allowed to start at 10 a.m.
Oh, great! So
So
just watching for 12 hours every day.
yeah, because
The big screen.
if it's after 10 a.m. and before 10 p.m., they're not meant to be able to make a noise complaint, technically. So yeah, and then just be like, I'm in lockdown and I have no choice.
What did I do?
What have you done?
I can still see you guys fine.
Okay.
Oh, great.
That's all.
So it's fine. I can just see some wiping or something happening, but everything's fine on this end.
Right, we just shouldn't touch anything. We
Yeah, maybe today's disaster shit.
Yeah, just not good with the
Not
technology.
like I was just gonna take it.
Oh.
Forget about it.
Um, what else was I going to say? Yeah, so I guess I was going to say, like, so who is there bands like now? Obviously, there's bands that influenced you, and then bands now. Like, who I guess like I mean, you can be inspired by so many different types of music, not just punk. Who do you guys like? I guess like where do you draw your personal influences from?
This question.
Yeah.
Oh,
Either of you.
you.
This is like either
We
yeah,
all
this is
have different favorite stuff, I
but,
guess.
but
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
I guess influences come from weird places for me. It's not even necessarily inspired by musicians, but maybe just like really cool people. I don't know. I think I take more from stage performance than musical ability.
Yeah,
Who's
yeah.
inspiring at the moment?
Nothing in particular that we all agree to, like,
I mean, I
gonna
think
be
the
like
last
that or
time
anything.
I had sort of idols I can think of when it was when I was young. The idols started as early as, first it was Sporty Spice from the Spice Girls when I was 8. And then it was Pink.
Oh yeah, you're showing your age. You're showing your age
Yeah.
when you say Spice Girls, mate. Even I'm too old for Spice Girls.
Oh, no shit.
Everyone that I was inspired by was just like kind of
A personality sort of
yeah,
thing,
well,
rather.
Eve,
Yeah,
right? The rapper Eve. I
yeah,
was her Pink when I was young, so I'd say they were quite similar, boisterous,
yeah.
opinionated kind of women.
Strong women.
So
Yeah,
they're the earliest I can think of, and then from that it was just I don't even remember how I somehow discovered punk shows, and then was lucky enough that Scum System Kill were one of the predominant bands playing. And I'd never seen women in that position. I'd never heard that music. I'd never seen
music.
women.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe the first time I heard those kinds of vocals come out of a woman. So that in itself was like, holy shit, what is this? I need to know more.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't
yeah.
remember
Because
particular thing for lie, I think.
what's that?
Maybe, I don't think we have like a particular like like influence
Yeah, not
band.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not.
Did you have who are your like idols and things that you looked up to, Alda?
Well, when I was a teenager, first time I knew punk, because I was like I grew up like really sheltered, like really sheltered, like I grew up like really religious. I'm coming from one of those religious family that like my mom especially like really forced me to be super like closing like social life for me. But
Mm-hmm.
when I first listened to first Homicide from
Mm-hmm.
Bandung, from my hometown, it's a political hip hop group. They like basically it's an anarchist hip hop group, and they really inspired me. And that was when first I was like, holy shit, this is sick. And from that I heard Crass and then X-Ray Specs, and I'm like, whoa, this is
Yeah,
punk, this is punk. Like, yeah, like I
yeah,
think that's the first time I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to do punk shit. It's mainly because
yeah.
that kind of spirit.
Yeah,
like
especially
how that political hip hop group like changed the game in my town, and then like
yeah, yeah,
Crass is different
yeah,
with like
yeah.
and the Clash and shit, and
Yeah, yeah. And then X-ray specs are just like
Express. So, yeah,
totally, yeah. It's like,
yeah.
it's like these chicks who are just like, I'm just gonna fucking yell about this shit and you're gonna listen. And I
That's like
love
yeah,
that. There was
the
a
fun one.
there was like an obnoxiousness about them that I loved.
No, I love
Um,
it.
that's just really, really cool. I don't know if you saw caught the interview, but there's a band you should look up, and I was just gonna say the singer's just logged in watching you guys now. Called Witch Fever, and they're like amazing. You should check them out. They're really cool.
Cool. I
Chick
actually watched your
old chicks.
but yeah,
What's up?
definitely. I actually watched
Yeah, yeah.
the video of live that you have with Amy from Witch Fever. Yeah, they seems cool.
Yes,
I'm definitely gonna check that
she's
band
real
out.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's real cool, and their live shows are like just hectic as. So, yeah, and they're very like similar, like punk, but like trying to be, and address similar issues that you guys address as well. They're having like they're all LGBTQI in the
Are
band
they,
as well. So like they've got like what's that?
are they from Melbourne?
I think from England.
No,
Oh,
they're
they're not from.
from England. They're from England, yeah,
Oh
Manchester,
shit!
England.
Right, so the same country.
Yeah, yeah. Not the same
I
country,
felt,
no.
I feel bad that like I haven't seen these guys play or something.
No, no, no. Yeah, you have to go quite a while away to see them. So it's all good. Um,
Maybe.
yeah, I mean, I'm always looking for like new like female bands and stuff to play, like live. Like I really love V.
Yep,
You
yep.
I
Females
love
cap.
watching her. I love watching her solo. Like
Yeah, yeah.
when she plays solo, she's just a machine. She's just like she comes out in like some really rad, like cool outfit, like she's wearing a cat suit type thing. And then and then she has like all these noise things on the side, and then she just fucking plays the guitar, very like kind of like punky mixed with industrial, mixed with like PJ Harvey or something, like
Mm-hmm.
early stuff. And like yeah, I love looking for that kind of stuff in Melbourne, like
Yeah, yeah. Same.
trying to find.
There's more in the works. There's stuff ready to go now. Like friends of ours have got bands pretty much ready to go. There's one that I'm super excited for, kind of along the lines of like Sacrilege kind of vibes. I mean, the vocalist
Yep.
sounds heaps like the Sacrilege vocalist. So when we're allowed out into the open again,
Yeah, I know.
I
Oh my
feel
God. Maybe we need to find out if the Pink Palace is still around and if we can like social distance stream a mini concert with a few of them, with a
we
few of you guys playing with like
Yeah.
four people in the room.
oh they fucking
Yeah. We were like
they're
stuck
already getting
thinking
locked
like,
down.
It's such it's such a strange concept. Like even like looking at like I don't know if you saw Cherry Bar, like posting like sitting down and eating and having a drink watching a band at Cherry Bar. No, that's not what I go to Cherry Bar for. Like you go to Cherry Bar to get mega fucked up, and like you don't go there to. I mean, yeah, and tickets were like over $100, and I was just like, who the fuck? Who wants to pay over $100
Pass.
for a diet? Like we're talking Cherry, they can't even clean their toilet. Like, and you want us to pay 100 and whatever it was, 10, 15, $115 or something for a couple
exactly.
of drinks? No thanks. Like, not gonna happen. But yeah, it's crazy. I'm looking forward to everyone coming back, and I think like a lot of bands, like you said, are starting, and then a lot of bands are like doing loads of writing and stuff. So
Yeah.
hopefully at the end of this, we come out with a bit more like, you know, good shit because everyone's been locked down, just like
Yeah.
going crazy,
Yeah.
trying to and get something like kind of out of it. But
Yeah.
that's a bit more, yeah. I mean, it sucks, especially because you've got like an album that you could have out and then you could be touring for it. So it's like,
Yeah, well, that was the plan. We were trying to organize doing a European tour, but maybe leave that till 2022 or something.
Uh,
oh,
You know?
at least you're not banned like America. America's banned from
uh,
Europe. We're not banned, so you're doing all
Yeah.
right.
we were hoping either like America or Europe or Southeast Asia, but now whatever.
Yeah. And then
Right.
the other
Fine.
day there was somewhere in Asia, someone's got the bubonic plague. I'm like, what the
China.
fuck is going
Yeah.
on?
Oh no, Mongolia.
Yeah,
That
China,
one.
like from
Was it Mongolia?
Swine flu in China.
yes.
Oh my God.
Bubonic plague, Black Death.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, oh my God, like I'm not religious at all, but I was like, oh my God, it's three
What the?
horses of apocalypse is coming.
I had to think so. Like honestly, every time, like today, like little things, like going outside and see, like, shit, this is July. Why is all the fucking flowers blooming already? It freaks
Yeah.
me out. Like
I
it's
don't know
so.
what day it is or what, like, I keep writing June instead of July because I just feel like I don't even know where June went. So I keep like writing like dates in, and then I'm like, June, and then someone's like, it's July, yeah, and I'm like, oh, fuck's sake, change it
Yeah.
to July because I'm just like, I don't even remember June. Where was June? It just like came and went. It's like Mondays and Fridays mean nothing anymore. It's all just the same
That's
day.
that's just been since March for me. It's just all Groundhog Day every day.
Yeah. That's what it
Been a-
feels like for me. Like, and then like now I'm just like, oh, I'll do. What am I gonna, like, oh, I'm just gonna watch some shit in bed. Or do you know what I
like,
mean? Like, it's
uh,
such a hard to get motivated because you're like,
like,
there's like, because you've got this excuse to do nothing.
excuse to do nothing, and also like mentally, it like physically, it has been uneventful, been fucking stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of, and
Yeah.
Like,
stressful. Yeah, like I found it
oh,
really draining. Like in the first like 2 months, well, especially the first month, I reckon I was like severely like anxious and like super depressed. I was just like,
Yeah.
yeah, bushfire.
why bother? Why bother getting up? Who cares? Like really, really, like, just a real mega bummer. And then like, and then slowly I've gotten a bit better, but I still get mega stressed, especially when they announced this. I was like, fuck's sake, that's gonna push like everything out even more now. Like it's just like Jesus. It
Yeah.
just frustrates me because it's just like I wish people would do the right thing so then we don't have this situation where we have to keep having
I mean,
keep going
at a
backwards.
point, what is the right thing? Because that doesn't
Mm.
that didn't really seem to stop the bullshit that's happening with the towers.
Yeah,
At the moment.
Yeah, the towers, yeah. Well,
yeah,
they clearly didn't address that issue um as soon as they became aware of it. Like there's so many things they could have done. They could have like taken COVID testing teams to the flats. They could have they could have given them all free masks. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like there's so many things they could have done before they got to this point where they're like, I'm locking you all down.
Yeah.
Like, and you
And
can't, and I'm having all the police there, like they're criminals. Like,
yeah,
that's a really shitty way to deal with it. It's like, if they had have done something at the beginning, like actually thought about poor people and thought about people, a lot of those towers are filled with, lower income families or people who've been homeless, like, and elderly people who don't have any money and like immigrant families and, indigenous people. Like, it's just like, they're all vulnerable people. And
Yeah.
it's like, why wasn't this addressed as soon
I
as it
mean,
happened,
because
rather
to
than
be honest, I don't think it's ever been about COVID. It's just about control, and it's about
well,
trialing
it's
it out on
blame
the most vulnerable people,
and
unfortunately. Because if it was about COVID and
and
it was
blame
about keeping people safe, they would be supporting them.
Yeah.
yeah
In no way
well
whatsoever that was effective. And that's
yeah
only stop 13 out of 500 something that Australia got right now, or Victoria
yeah
got. That is so
yeah
unnecessary.
they
Like,
weren't even the main cases, so
yeah,
you
they're
know
not
No,
even the
it's
main
clear
case.
no.
it's clearly yeah, I mean it's discrimination, class discrimination, there's no doubt about it, but it's like, yeah, if they wanted to do the right thing they could have, but they
Yeah,
didn't. They took this assault kind of like response,
They
and it's
didn't, and
like
they still don't. Honestly, I'm also like thinking it's still going on. Like, what? It's the fourth day. It's still gonna be for
mhm,
another eighth day, and they've been blocking people supplying the food, but they don't supply
I
the
mean,
mhm,
what's
food.
it going
So
to take? Is it going to take people dying because
yeah,
they're
are they
binning
waiting
the
for somebody to
donated
die?
mhm.
What the
food?
fuck?
You know, we're
Yeah,
donating money,
because
and our
you
money's going
see
to bin.
them, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So you
they're
see
stopping the donation.
the people like putting up signs in the windows, like asking for help and stuff. It's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
fucked. Like, you know, it's nuts. And because and it also addresses the issue of just how inefficient those towers are. Because like
yeah,
they're so close quarters
yeah. Of
that yeah, if someone does get COVID, it will spread
course
super
it would.
easy,
Of course.
because everything in there is like, you know, they're all fucking old as the hills, like haven't had renovations in fucking 20, 30, 40 years. And you know, and they're also like, you know, right next to each other, like you can hear everyone in every room, like in each flat, you know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah,
it's crazy, like that addresses a whole other issue when it comes to public housing, you know, that
yeah.
you know, it's like, we'll just, you know, you're poor, so this is just what you get, and
But
you should
also
be
when
happy for it.
doing the donation, okay, fine. Like, I understand that, they like considering that the infection might spread really quickly. Like, okay, fair enough, if that needs to happen. But still, they do a really bad job in notifying the people who lives there. They don't even know that. Most of them only know from like the news.
Yeah, that was insane
What
when I
that
saw
about?
that some people had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
They just like looked out the window and it was like there's cops everywhere and
Yeah,
people in hazmat suits. Like,
yeah.
wouldn't you you would freak the fuck out if you looked
I mean,
outside
I think
your
myself, like
house?
I grew up in commission housing, and I know how close it is. And I can't imagine going to your front door when usually you can just like, you know, walk 6 steps across to your neighbor's door and there's cops blocking your doors. You're not allowed to see your neighbor, and all of a
Yeah,
sudden
or
you're
anything. Yeah.
tiny
I mean,
apartment. Um,
yeah, like
Horrible.
and also
I,
even just thinking about, you know, having been in there myself and thinking about the demographics of people, there are so many different people with so many different reasons, and it's just
exactly. Yeah.
there's just so many things apart from elderly, apart from drug users, you know.
These are all, you know, stereotypes. It's like, you know, oh, I mean,
I like how Pauline Hanson is trying to push that stereotype, so to dismiss
yeah,
it.
yeah. For
Parents,
as
children.
long, yeah,
Yeah, so many type
young
of
kids, you know, like I remember for as long as I moved here when I was 18, and for as long as I've lived here, all of those towers have been referred to as smacky flats.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I
That's
think one
that's
was
what they've
also
always that's what they've always been referred to as. I mean,
yeah.
so that's something that, like, you know, is continuously perpetuated by people. So
Mm,
people
mm,
forget. Like, I mean, in I grew up in the country, so we didn't have
mm.
towers, but I lived in mission housing. So it was like I lived in, like, you know, the most Darrow like housing ever. But like we didn't have towers in the country, we just had the houses. And it was, you know, just hectic as fuck. And then, like, you
Yeah,
know, it was like where I lived was a huge Indigenous population, and so it was basically poor white people, Indigenous people, and like immigrants, and we all just lived together in the commission houses. Like there were certain streets.
We
I
had
mean, I remember,
some yeah.
yeah, but like we didn't
Yeah.
have that experience of the tower type thing. But like
Yeah.
we were totally like discriminated against. Like I used to get picked on, like, or people would be like, oh, because I caught the Darrow bus, like, because I had to catch the
Yeah.
bus from there, and they'd be like, oh, that's
Yeah.
the commission bus, and like
Right.
and like because in the country it's like it was still so racist, and so like you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
there's nothing worse to a white person than a poor white person, like so it was like I started out in a caravan park. That's where I lived, as like that was my house. That's what it says on my birth certificate. Like I lived in a caravan
Yeah.
park.
Yeah.
And so, and then from a caravan park moved into commission housing. And
Yeah.
so, I was always around poor people and like creating like, making your own fun and like getting, the fake cheapo Barbie doll from the, you know what I mean? Like, all that kind of stuff. Like, and actually interacting with like, with the immigrant families and interacting with Indigenous people, whereas none of
That
these people ever did,
having
so they,
experience similar to you with the stark realization coming to Melbourne,
mm,
how sheltered a lot of people are to,
mm-hmm,
um, I don't know, just non-white people.
mm.
Um,
And
and
even like I found like, um, there's like two sides. There's like people who have no idea, and
mm,
then there's also the people who are like trying to be martyrs, and they're like, blah 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 blah. And then you ask them like, have you ever like gone to an Indigenous region or hung out with Indigenous people or anything? And they're like, no. And you're like, so what is the purpose of are you doing this so that you can get some recognition, or are you doing this because you actually give a shit? Because if you give a shit, then why aren't you actually interacting with the community that you're trying to
mm,
say that you're supporting? You know what I mean? And
yeah,
when I was growing up, it was like, obviously in the commission area, I lived with them. Some of my best, like one of my best friends in school was Aboriginal, there was a huge, like, it was on the border of like Victoria and New South Wales. You just cross over the bridge and like drive, a little bit, and there was a huge Indigenous reserve, which was like Indigenous only, and yeah, and like so, and there was like a particular town that was like Indigenous only as well, and and it was like such a interesting thing if you grow up around it and you know whereas yeah, it was like you said, a stark realization moving to the city and realizing how many people have like
not
probably
even just
never.
like coming from Sydney, a really hyper-populated city, to Melbourne. I mean, Melbourne's meant to be the most progressive city, but the first thing I felt here was how sparse it was, and
mm,
definitely just
all
just
the
felt white.
all the
And
suburban
areas that
part.
aren't white, you've got to go out and look for, kind of thing. It's
Mm,
really pockets. So that
yeah.
and I just found, yeah, I've just found like sort of in adulthood of come across people who just, yeah, I forget that their backgrounds are really different, and I don't know, I guess just, yeah, Melbourne's really middle class and white.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, it is. Yeah, and like and then there's different. Like, I mean, Adelaide's the same, very,
mm,
but maybe lots of middle and upper class white religious people,
mm,
and
mm,
then some serial killers to mix in there, and and then and then Brisbane is like super white and very racist majority
Melbourne
of
is not
people
always super
still.
white. It depends on where we are.
Well, look, it's changed.
Well,
Melbourne is
depends
Melbourne's
what
very
side of
I think if I
sensitive.
go
suburbs
to
you're in.
CBD, I met a lot of Indonesian people.
Well,
Or
Melbourne
like,
has become what it is now. Probably
yeah.
started to become this about 8 years ago.
Mm.
So before that, I mean, I moved here in 2006.
Yeah.
The
Yep.
city was quiet. There just weren't that many people compared to Sydney. That's just it. And it was just
Yeah.
probably a few years after I moved here, I started noticing, I guess just an increase in immigration and just more bodies on the street. So Melbourne's only really become what it is now, probably
In the past.
in under a decade.
Yeah.
Not even.
I moved here in '98, and
Ooh.
yeah, like there's been a lot has changed since I moved in
I guess
'98.
like 5 years ago, I first lived in Footscray, so like
Like,
definitely not white.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%.
Like mostly
Like, I lived
either
in,
like Asian or African communities.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, oh, this is
and
much less
like
white than I was expecting.
yeah, a huge like Sudanese population and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Yeah, because I lived like one suburb away from Footscray, but like you know
Yeah.
I had to walk to Footscray to go shopping and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, and sometimes I'd walk and I'd be like, I am the only white person,
Yeah.
and you
Like,
know. I'm like, this is kind of cool. It was like when I went to America for the very first time. I stayed in a suburb that was predominantly black and Mexican, and people had told me, oh, just so you know, like this area is very, Mexican and also very black. So just, and of course it was summer, so it was like this giant, like it was like this little short girl, who's like was like goth pale white, like just like a fluorescent fucking light shining out everywhere. And I walk out, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go for a walk down the street, and I walk to the lights, like to press on the pedestrian crossing, and I have not seen so many people stare at me like I was an alien, and I was like, wow, this is what it feels like to not be white, like, you know what I mean, to be the other way around, like, because it was like everyone was just like, what the fuck is that? Like, it was seriously like, and everyone was just staring, and like, I was crossing the road and people were just looking like, what the fuck is this girl doing? She's either like, and also like, this chick's got balls. She's like walking around in this area, like just fucking there, man, no worries. And then like I walked past like they were definitely gang members, and they were like, hey chica, and like started like talking to me and like, love your tattoos and all this stuff, and I was like, yeah. And as soon as I spoke and they realized I was Australian, they were like, yeah, they love Australians. As long as you're not American or British, as soon as they hear your Australian accent, they're like, fuck yeah, you're a legend. Crocodile Dundee, mate. Crocodile Dundee,
I mean,
like,
that's surprising. I always thought we had pretty bad reputation in Australia.
No,
being
fuck
like,
no.
They just a country of racists.
UK
Depends where you are.
Yeah, in the UK, when I lived there for nearly 3 years, they think we're racist. They are the worst racist, but they think we're racist. But in America, like they fucking love us.
Yeah.
Like we're like a novelty. Like we're like I don't know, like little unicorns that like they think we live on this little like fairy island, and we're all like happy la la and go to the beach and ride our kangaroos, and yeah, they just and the American men just love Australian women, and most Australian women like American men. They have amazing accents, so I can't say no. Yeah, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, I don't know. We've gone off on a massive loop here. It's been fun anyway. But I am looking forward to hearing more, like, and seeing you guys like evolve a lot more and that kind of thing. Yeah, we're running.
Oh, we want to do it today.
Yeah.
Can't even do band practice anymore now for a while.
Yeah. You can just do solos in your
So,
room, Nissa.
in my costumes by myself.
yeah.
Yes.
Just get prepped, you know. Just
But
Actually,
I think
don't do
I was just gonna say I
do
think
it.
we're gonna get cut off. So
All right.
I'll
no